Heyo, my PlanCo friends, Johnny5 Alive here, and welcome back to another episode of Project PlanCo. We got another massive one in store for you here today with 6 major city builds. We're going a little bit more on this one, upping the ante, getting 6 full builds in, and this one, boy oh boy, was this a doozy for me on my end. I think I spent 3 hours placing 6 buildings with the adjustments and changes necessary. Holy good googly moogly, was this one a lot of work, but it was definitely worth it. As you guys can see from the B-roll, there are some amazing builds to showcase in today's video, and definitely a lot of little minute details that we could talk about to make the episode a little bit more interesting. But we're definitely at a point now where I want to try to place in as many builds as I possibly can, not only to showcase you guys as many builds in one episode as I can, but so that we progress the project as quickly as possible. And in today's episode, we definitely have basically 2 fully completed areas, strips, or corners of the city that we can finally showcase. So why don't we get right on into it? Beautiful timing, check this out. Here comes the monorail. Oh gosh, I love this. So this is a City Building 02 created by Nennakenna. On the Steam page it says Mcgillacuddy, so different Discord name, different than your Steam name there. This is a really cool and interesting plot. One of the buildings that literally was cut in half with the volume cube over here and a volume cube over there. The monorail passes right through it. I mean, that is amazing. So yeah, let's talk about it. This was one of the ones I did in my very first early review videos. People were cranking out builds in the first couple days, if not first day. So I decided to review them all and kick them all back for fixes. So to this creator, Nennakenna, they definitely took the feedback that I gave, and this seems to be a much more improved build. So it says tram view. It's a little hard to see at first, but there's the V, there's the I. It's got like an backwards E or something, or an abstract E. It doesn't really make sense, the E, because the E is, you can read it both ways. I don't really know. But then that's the W there. It's kind of like the E and the W are merged. I guess it would make more sense if it was like this. Tram, I don't know. Either way, I'm not going to question it. I could read it at least, and it's much more of an improvement from what we previously saw. There was just a little sign like one of these that said tram view. So I much prefer this. We'll talk about the build real quick, or we'll take a look at the build, showcase it. You guys saw a little bit of it in the B-roll. You can see a bit of it here, and then we'll talk about some of the adjustments that I needed to make. So we have this little back area with all the garbage and stuff, and then we can come on in, and one of the things that I mentioned in the feedback was there was nothing inside this building. So now they've gone and added in some vending machines, a few animatronics, some lockers, and now we can go upstairs. And then we get this really cool view of the tram coming by, and as one comes by right now, we can take a look at that. That's a fun little interactive building. I quite like that. There's some random stuff here. I do not know why you put that there. Whoever has to store this stuff, they're gonna have to get a ladder or something. I don't really understand it, but I guess you felt like you needed to put something there. I guess it's sometimes the saying is less is more, but I didn't really feel like fixing that. I just thought it was fine. Lights are still a little bit uneven. Not really sure what's going on there. They kind of like pop out further and further as you go. That's gonna drive me crazy now that I'm noticing that. I'm just gonna pretend I didn't see that. Yeah, so this building was finicky and challenging. So just to take you through some of my pain troubles, if I slid the building over the way it was intended so that it's not, well, how do I do this? So chance building, which is here, is supposed to look like that, which means chance building is actually sticking through this builder's wall. That sucks. And if I were to slide this over so it does no longer crashes and is spaced appropriately, we have all these issues over here, right? And this is the trouble of builders having to build within their volume cubes and do it appropriately. I moved chance building over to the left to make room for this. That is the only solution. And I will give Chant the updated park file in case that affects anything. You know, she might adjust some of her decorations and stuff. Now, that does have a cascading effect of issues because now this building is essentially placed over the paths just a little bit. So now we got to put barriers there and redirect the guests, but I don't think it's that big of a deal. It's not that big of an issue. We're able to slide this over without things getting too crampy because we have all this breathing room. So not the biggest of deals. We sorted it out, and it just means that we're gonna have to move this building over, you know, like columns worth of space. and that should end up being okay. So hopefully Chant is able to work around her build here and get that all in without any issues. But the build itself looks awesome. It has this really cool modern, you know, like SkyTrain station appeal to it. I quite like it, and I'm happy with the way it turned out, and I think this builder's changes were great. It's a much improved version of what I saw previously. Okay, next up is PlanCo Flats, created by CoolBeans McGee. Another mega apartment building. I mean, very cool, modern style to this. Really appealing. I like what you did here. PlanCo Flats PF. There's like little interactive windows that you can peer through over here as well with the balconies. Some people have like blinds on their windows. Just like a lot of little touches here and there. People sitting out on their balconies. You can actually peer through the bottom level. Looks like it's got a little bit of a coffee shop going on in here. Oh wow, I actually didn't look at this. I'm trying not to look at the buildings, but then at the same time, if I don't, then I find issues when I'm actually doing the recording. Nice little bit of art on the ceiling too. That's a really nice touch. Wow, this is fantastic, CoolBeans McGee. Little fountain back there. Yeah, really nice polished storefront coffee shop and apartments. You have some interesting like sound panels on the wall. That's what they remind me of, but still concrete shapes for a level of interest. I like what you did back here. This is really smart. No windows where the train goes by. Nobody's going to want to buy an apartment with the train going by, but here's not too bad. You'll see like right over top, we can see one coming by right now. There it goes. But yeah, there's enough clearance here for the train. And you have some random debris and rubble and garbage cans and things out back, which makes sense and adds a little bit of immersion there, some realism. And there's the entryway, and we have a little garden, so really nice. I like the little brick tiles that you put back here. There's the trash bins and some stuff back here, but yeah, little garden plot is quite nice. So with this building, it was a little bit of a tricky one. The struggles I had with this one is I did the sink behind me sign, but it was actually the planters were still floating, and all of this trim, the trim on the building, all these little planter trims were also floating, and that was after I used the sink behind me sign. However, I did delete the initial foundation. So some of these buildings do come with their own foundations. If we delete this, you can see there's like a foundation here. And most people either make it themselves or make foundation on top of foundation. And then we just get all these like crazy part count issues. What I found with this one right away was it didn't need a foundation, because what would happen is you would have concrete inside this planter. It didn't make sense to have these bushes growing out of concrete. So that's why I decided to delete the foundation. But as a result, I guess these were built on top of the foundation and they were floating. So I had to basically lower all the trim on these builds, all of the trim on the gardens, all of these floating planters, and bring them down to the grass or dirt level. And then I just repainted things. I repainted things a little bit dirty and sandy and grassy and that sort of thing. And there we go. That one wasn't too hard to fix, but there were, you know, a few issues, a few pain points getting it in, but not as bad as, it wasn't that bad at all. It was quite a decent one. The build is phenomenal. I love everything about it. I'm really a fan of this style. Not only did you take like my favorite vinyl plastic sci-fi pieces that I've built with in the past, but you've modernized them, and it does almost remind me of like Street Fox Coffee in a way, with the burgundy and white. It gives me that Street Fox Coffee vibes, and it just so happens that they're also selling coffee down below. So yeah, I'm a big fan of the color scheme, the cleanliness of it. It's very clean and yeah, polished. Beautiful build here by CoolBeans McGee, and I absolutely love this interior down here. Phenomenal job on this build. All right, next up, we're going to be listening to some... Actually, I'm going to pause it. The Mcgillacuddy music. Burp, burp, burp. Yeah, let's just pause it while we're over here. So next up is the Arcade Building 9 from Project PlanCo, created by CasualTycoon. And this one was one of the ones that I originally kicked back. It was done within the first few hours of the project going live, and I just could be honest, it was a little bit cringy looking. It looked a little bit underwhelming, a little bit underpolished, very beginner builder-ish, and wasn't feeling like something that I was confident in keeping in the park. I have to say, whatever feedback you got from the Discord members or whatever I suggested to you, this is looking much better, and it matches the peel and the look of the buildings surrounding it. Just a nicer, cleaner brick look to everything. Some details going around the tops, some little details over there, some stuff on the back. It's much better. Now, nothing was really changed on the inside, and I did think the inside was kind of crazy and interesting. It's kind of fun. If I push play, I think there's a bunch of arcade sounds. Ting, 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 ting. There's like, yeah, little sci-fi sounds and stuff going on in here. You have the fortune-telling machine, the bubblegum machine, the claw crane. It does actually make it feel like an arcade, and you even have like the person that sells the tickets or whatever. It's cool. You know, like you have to kind of suspend your imagination a little bit or stretch your imagination. If this was an actual arcade place, it would just be packed. I suppose we could put like a couple TMTK arcade machines in here if we wanted to. I'd probably be okay with that. Maybe we can do that. We'll see what happens when Pizza Planet gets put in, because that's an arcade. So I'm going to have to subscribe to arcade machines. Maybe I'll just duplicate a few of the arcade machines that come in with Pizza Planet and just put one or two here or there, and, you know, just a few, not too much. We're trying to go easy on the TMTK, but because, you know, you had such a small building with such a small part count, I would imagine that building your own would be very costly. So I think this is quite good. While it is a little bit bare, like I said, we could probably just put a couple extra machines in here to make this a little bit more entertaining. But the guests will come in here. So with that, I opened up the doors. They were kind of ajar. They weren't really open. So I don't want the guests walking through the doors. And the pathing was not working. So I just pushed this back, pushed that back, pushed this back. I had to readjust everything. The whole floor and foundation was a complete disaster. It was really tough to sort out. I had to like grab all of these floor panels, which was really hard to do, and I had to bring them up. And then I had to get rid of the initial foundation because they're colliding together. It was just a bit of a headache, even though they gave me pretty decent setup guides. I don't understand. They had like alignment tools for other buildings. So I had to go delete all that stuff. It was a bit of a pain, but I wanted to tightly squeeze it in here, make sure it butt up with all these other buildings. I knew this would be a problem when we reviewed this building. I said that, you know, we might have to go in here and either delete the windows or the planters. I think I got them all. This is the fun of doing this. It's like I didn't actually get all of it. In fact, I could probably get rid of more. No, it might affect the inside. There might be like a ledge or something that I forgot to delete in here. Yeah, it gets tricky to find all this stuff. And with that being said, you can see all the funness in this building. I found probably 50 things in here to delete that, like, it was insane. I don't know what the builder was doing, but they built an entire interior that you cannot see through any of the windows or inside. I don't know what the heck was going on, but there was all these like gray blocks in here, like dozens upon dozens upon dozens of them. So I found that. Got rid of that. Aha, these are the little nubs that I was looking for. So if I delete everything, select those 4 nubs, then undo the deletions, it still maintains my selection. And then I can get all of this stuff back, and then you can see that they're still selected, and now I can delete. So that is a nice little trick. If you're trying to delete something that you can't see, just delete everything, select it, undo, your selection will still be there, and you can delete your selection. So yeah, while these windows are kind of half cut off, I think it's fine. Like I said, we're not city planners, and I like the way they look. I tried doing a bare wall there, and it was just, it wasn't really doing it for me. So it's fine. You can crawl out of your window onto this building and then use this building's little fire escape hatch if your building's burning down. I guess. Makes sense to me. But no, notes to this builder, CasualTycoon. I much enjoy the storefront that you have redesigned. It's more fitting to this area, and it's great. Good job. All right, next up we have City Building 11, and this was created by otherwise known as Tara the Ref. Oh man, I created this long name for her in Discord. I wish I had that written down right now. Oh, it's funny. If you're watching this video, Tara, pin it in the put it in the comments. I'll pin it, and people can go check out the comments and give that a read. But she has one of the longest Discord names I've ever seen, so I made it even longer based off the backstory of where it originated from. But her Discord name is otherwise known as Tara the Ref. Currently, I cannot fit that on a sign, so I just put Tara the Ref. And on Steam, it says Tara Elizabeth. Updated final piece count 152 is what they say. by Fuller Hall at the McGeorge School and Law in Sacramento, as well as the other local buildings, but with a bit more ornamentation and attention to details than the originals. Updated to include small brick garden area, see me, hide me signs, remove the light on the tower. Thank you everyone for your help and suggestions. Okay, so yeah, this it looks great. It's a cute little build, and apparently everyone was loving it on Discord. That's the general consensus. Upon placing it, I had some issues. So before we talk about that, let's go take a look at the backside. Woo, hidden garden. I both love it and absolutely hate it, and we'll talk about why in just a sec. But yeah, there's a little hidden garden there. It's a cute build. I wasn't sure what was going on with this, but we'll just, you know, never look up there. I think if you're just passing by it, you won't notice it. But yeah, apparently there's like a railing there. Not sure what's going on there. I would have maybe put a brick lining behind it just so, yeah, you can't see into the building. It was a tight fit to get it next to Sabby's. There's a little bit of crashing, but if I move it over to the left, the pillars will cut through the garden. So I think it's fine, you know, for the most part, just a little bit of clipping there. Not the biggest of deals. It's cute. I like it. I like the build. It's really quaint and cozy. The brick style is going along well with all these other little brick style builds that we got going on over here. So I think it fits the area very, very well. It's small, it's cute, it's quaint, it's cozy. Now, the issues that I had with this one, it was floating. I had to add foundation here. I couldn't figure out if I wanted to push it back or push it forward, but if you push it back, this area becomes really crampy. But this area shouldn't exist in the first place. Tara's actual volume cube came right to here. She should have built it right up to this building like her neighbor did. Basically, like no breathing room between these buildings. Why? Because we don't really want to build what we don't see. So as you're walking down the street, you'll never see what's on the backside of this building. But I guess now, if you're going into this King Coaster building, you will. But it doesn't seem logical to come down here and look this way. And if this building extended to here, just like this one did, you wouldn't even think twice to start poking around down here. So it's a bit of a wasted amount of pieces and decorations. And while personally, I feel like we could just delete all of this, it's a bit of a shame. And then we got to stretch the building out so that it's not bare naked in the off chance you do come back here. And it just starts creating these headaches. The other option is to delete all of this stuff and just push the building back so it lines up to here. Then you have like a lot of grass and space in the front of the build, and it starts to look bare naked up front. And it also doesn't really, it almost disappears, if that makes sense, because the building's pushed so far back, it just gets swallowed. And it creates a bit of a dent or like a negative space in the street view where this building just basically just ceases to exist. And I didn't like the way that looked. I like the step coming right up to the stairs, and I even put like a barrier in there so the guests won't walk over this, they'll walk around it. So that's kind of nice too. Yeah, and I just think it coming right up to the edge of the street on the sidewalk here just looked better. So yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, we got some wasted pieces. We have a little bit of an Easter egg back here. I think maybe we should put a pink penguin back here or something. Put an Easter egg back here, just so when you come back here, it's like, haha, Easter egg. A little bit of detail and an Easter egg. Oh, we got a floater. And fixed. And this column, I also added it in. Something was bothering me about how this was not supported and floating. It also drew attention to this gap here, as well as, yeah, this, I don't know. Something was bothering me about this, but I feel like having it there just cleans it up a little bit and brings your attention away from those weird railings. So I just duplicated that column to give it a little bit more supporting structure on the roof, and that's it. Cool. So really good build from Tara the Rep. Let's move on to the next one. Okay, we got a big boy here. This is City Building 16 from Master Engineer 02. Welcome staff to PlanCo Paradise. I made this luxury apartments for the Planet Coaster staff, featuring private floors, relaxing rooftop terrace, perfect for long needed breaks, included as a modern art sculpture hanging from the lobby where each color can be represented of a staff character in Planet Coaster. Wow, that's cool. Oh, I get it now. I didn't notice this before. So we have like the security guards, the engineers, and the janitors. Oh, that's cool. I really like that. It brings a little bit more PlanCo to the town. You know, I said, everybody think PlanCo when building this. And you didn't forget about our wonderful staff. And in fact, I had this idea of trapping a staff, like trapping a janitor and putting a speaker into him. And then we could have him tell a story, like a voice acted story. Maybe we could trap somebody in here and have them tell a story. That might be kind of cool. For whatever reason, they decided to put a Cosmic Cow vending machine in here, as well as a Gulpy, which made pathing just a little bit of a nightmare. You can't see the pathing because it's covered in a floor, but if I hover over it, you can kind of see where it's going and where it's coming from. I believe there's like a weird wedge here. They can travel from here to here. I don't know what's going on, but it works. It works. I tested it out. I got it in there. It goes around the front counter and around this side. Should, unless I accidentally deleted it. Be nice if the floors were all in one panel. But if I, yeah, see that? There's the path. If I start deleting floor pieces, you can see what I worked out. It's a bit of a mess, but there is a path underneath all of this, and the guests can actually come through here, and they will walk around the chairs and to the vending machines. But it wasn't actually too bad of a headache to make it so they can go around both sides of this reception desk and get to those vending machines. So when we do let guests in, they will come into this building, and you'll see them walking around in there through the glass window. They'll also be walking up and down these streets, so it'll add a little bit more immersion and interaction to the build, which I really do like. And if we look closer here, there's like levels, apartment buildings, and then a top floor patio. Really nicely done. Love it. There was a big blue garbage bin here. And I deleted it, and I made a joke in Discord. I said, what are the dump trucks going to come in by helicopter? This is a big blue bin. And I think the reason was because when you combine the two pieces together, it did that. And I think you tried covering it up with a blue garbage bin. So I just separated that from the building and then just nudged it over a little bit, and that fixed that. And then I kept the other trash bin there. So yeah, that's all about I did here. And foundation, I just extended that a little bit there. I did have to push, so the building's supposed to come out to about here in terms of the volume cube and stuff, but I pushed the building back like a foot because there was too much of a gap here, like a large gap, and we were just noticing all of these flaws. Like you could just look down this alleyway and go, what the heck is going on back there? It's just like so much of a disaster. And I figured by jutting the building right up to Trooper Matthews' building, you can barely notice those flaws and missing pieces and issues. You have to basically be flying because it's a little bit girthier at the base here. And now you can't really see through there at all. And I figured by butting the two buildings up together, not only does it look nicer and it covers up a lot of the bugs that we're having, but I could literally just fix up the storefront a lot easier than I could the back. So I just pushed the building in a little bit, and that solved that issue. But yeah, I love the way this came out. Another modern apartment building with like a bit of an artsy twist to things. Some really cool chandelier stuff going on in here. A fun interactive lobby. A dedication to the staff members with the security, engineers, and janitors. Isn't there another one? I guess the vendors, right? So you forgot about the vendors. Screw the vendors. But these are your more recognizable ones. I don't think the vendors have like a symbol or anything that you could do there. I guess a little money sign, but that still probably wouldn't make a lot of sense. I don't know, but I think that's fine. I think you nailed it there. So absolutely masterful build from Master Engineer 02. Let's move on to the last building of the day. So as you guys can see from that pop-in shot, this building looked a lot smaller than its volume cube, but it no longer looks smaller. So do I still have it open here? Study? There it is. So the original building was smaller and the volume cube was larger. And I wasn't liking how it was basically the exact same height as the building next to it. We wanted a lot of noise and variation in height between the different buildings. So I went in and I built it a little bit higher, and that's all I really did there. And then I moved all the piping and stuff like that up. So I had to rebuild the top level of the build and move everything up a little bit. So that was a little bit of work there. This side might look a little funky, but yeah, I don't know what to say about that. And then the back side, I try to make it so you can still see what's going on. In fact, that's why I wanted to bring it up, because then we get that interesting like peekaboo, peekaboo. It's looking at us from back there. If it was just flat there, you lose all the sight lines, right? It starts to look less interesting. So definitely try to fill out your volume cubes, guys. That was a little bit sad to see that, but we got it fixed. Like, luckily this building was all in like one group, so it wasn't like a huge headache to fix. But this builder also went and built the entire right side of the building, knowing that they'll be put right next to another building. So interesting decision there. And they also built the entire back side of the building. So it's a lot of cleanup work for me, but you know, if you have a big blue block here and a big blue block there, you should know pretty much that you won't have to have any details there. In fact, this is the least detailed side of the whole building, and it's the only one that you can actually see. So this is probably where I would have recommended putting more of the details around, more of that like side work and things that you did to the other side. But it is what it is. I think it looks good enough. It looks good. Definitely looks great from the front. And we have this PlanCo library study hall. It's super clean. I like the top of it. The back side, the peekaboo side's looking really good. So again, while I was saying when we talked about this building not going to the edge of the volume cube and I had to bring it out and do all the stuff, before my fixes on that one, this building was about to here. Then what you have is this big giant hole here, and then it starts causing problems when you're looking from certain angles, and it doesn't really make a lot of sense. Now, if this building came right up to here, that would also make things easier, so I could probably just delete all of this stuff. But in the off chance that we get a helicopter shot or something that comes through there, I don't want this to just be a giant hole. So that's about as much as I could do without just making things look weird from certain angles. And then on the inside here, super clean. Got rid of all of the stuff on both of the buildings. You'll never know because you'll never see it. So that's nice there. With this, the only time you'll ever see it is if you're looking down here, and that's very unlikely. You'll never come down from a straight down shot and if you do, this trim is basically covering it. So at the most, if you're coming to check out what's going on up here, it's fine. You'll never see any of that. So, and looking at it from this angle, it juts right up to the side of the building because it has a nice thick trim on there. So yeah, it all worked out in the end. I had to fix that, but between fixing some of these builds, deleting interior polygons, finding hidden surprises inside of buildings, adjusting things here and there, refixing foundations and stuff, 3 hours to get all 6 of these buildings in. Some of these episodes go much easier for me than others to set them up, but for this one, it was a bit of a doozy. I suspect some of these crampier buildings, taller buildings, and that sort of stuff will be somewhat challenging, but there have been many builds so far that I go plop, wiggle, 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 apply. And I'm like, yeah, there it goes. It's great. So I definitely think that everybody is capable of trying to get everything just right for me so that it goes in with little to no problems based off of the volume cubes that Batch has provided. I thought that was a very self-explanatory and intuitive system that he came up with all of these blocks and how they butt up against one another. In fact, I'm wondering like, yeah, see, it's Sem. Nicely done. See, smart. And I'm wondering like, how many hidden things am I going to find? But yeah, it's Sem was like, why would I ever build this side of the building? But they also knew that there was a small gap here, so they did build at least something here. Building super efficient and smart are some of these builders, and I definitely appreciate that. So boom, like a whole big episode here, like this whole section of the park is in, as well as what I recently featured with this whole area with the Foxy. One little update that I added, we asked Beartastic to include our Foxy drawing that Chant did, and he didn't, so I added it there. I guess what he thought, there was a miscommunication. He thought this one was going to be like the only one, and it was the character, but like, no, this was supposed to be advertising, and the character is actually going to be the mascot, like the real mascot that you can place down. I might leave that there or tuck it off to the corner, but yeah, more advertising of the character would be great. And I don't think he understood that's what we meant for it. I also added one here. So now you get a little bit more of that Foxy signage, that character. That's what we really wanted with this project, was to see these big giant characters everywhere and go, oh, that's like the Foxy place down there, and oh, that's just the Just Ribbon place over there. Now, while I do wish we managed to get the big Just Ribbon, this is the small one. Would have been lovely to see a big one somewhere. It kind of worked out for the best, I think. Having a Just Ribbon that's just as big as her kind of detracts from her, because the focal point of this area is Foxy. Just Ribbon is sort of like the sidekick, so having the bigger one there is like, oh, this is the main attraction. It is the go-karts. Batch went through all the trouble to make a large version of him for us, and we didn't get use out of it, but it's forever on the workshop. If anyone's ever making a Just Ribbon barbecue shop, there's a giant character that they can use for it, and I think that's just fine. I suspect some people will just use the big one or, you know, just use the small one, but the idea is that we definitely were hoping that everyone would use one of each. The small one for interior and the big one for the exterior. So that's a little adjustment that I wanted to call out for this video, and I noticed it now as we're looking at this whole area. It's come together. There's no more blue blocks anywhere other than the backside there, but you get it. You get my point. In this front area, it's all there, other than Augie's garden strip that he's completely overthinking. He's working on it for 3 weeks. Yeah. So that's really cool. And now we also have this whole strip done. It's in. All of them. That's incredible. Absolutely incredible. Let's go back to 11 a.m. It's great. Now we got to go ride the go-karts again. With everything in. And then this little guy off in the corner, all by himself. Really cool stuff. I guess the last thing I need to remind myself to do, I keep forgetting about the nighttime lighting, have to clip it in later, is checking out these builds at night. Looking great over here, Tara. And looking great over here, CoolBeans McGee? Yes, CoolBeans McGee. Beautiful. Nennakenna. Perfect. Little arcade building. Looks great. I did dim down the light here. It was really bright, so I just toned that down a little bit, and that's about the brightness I think it should be. Nice and subtle over here, but the lighting really brings attention to all the little details that were modeled into here. I feel like you could see inside of the building much, much better at nighttime, and the lighting really enhances everything. So that's probably my favorite nighttime lighting of all the builds in this episode here. Yeah, and that one's looking good as well. Did I forget them all? I don't know. There's too many to go over this one. So a big, hefty video here. 6 major builds. Areas are coming together, looking complete. It's great. So I'm going to try to shoot for doing 6 in the next one and at least 5. And we'll try to get as many as we can in. But holy good googly moogly, look at this. We're running out of cubes. It's coming together and it is very, very exciting. So there it is, ladies and gentlemen. Let the builders know what you thought of their builds down in the comments below. There's links in the description if you want to download these builds and put them in your own parks. Have at her. We're building this not only for the community, the blueprints that all these builders are putting together. Feel free to play around with them, use them, you know, modify them, get inspiration from them. So it's not only that are we building blueprints for the community, but we're building this park for you, the viewers, and the community. And of course, an homage to Frontier themselves for making such an amazing game. So there it is. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for watching. I hope you have a wonderful day, and I'll see you in the next episode of Project PlanCo. Bye now.